Good morning. Welcome to Daily Focus. A little bit late this morning, but for good reason. Had a couple of phone calls this morning from preacher boys, and one of my great joys at this stage of ministry is those preacher boys that you've had the privilege of influencing and continuing to influence as they embark on the ministry God calls them to. One who is looking to go to his first senior pastorate, and the other who has gone from the youth ministry to the senior pastorate in the same ministry and has a growing, vibrant work in northern Michigan. And I am so proud of all of my preacher boys, but these two specifically right now, God is using, has great plans for, and what a joy to be a part of their life. And so it's always a joy to catch up with them, to pray specifically with them and for them. And so it took me away from my morning routine, but you know what? It's all worth it. Well, we want to look at two really familiar verses this morning, and to probably not teach you anything new, but to simply remind you of something that is really important for the Christian life. And that is that all things work together for good. In other words, sometimes in our lives, we've had things come into our life that we don't understand. We've had some very hard and hurtful things that have come into our lives that were frustrating and hard for us to wrap our minds around. How is this good? And we would be it would be a lot easier for us to accept that some things work together for good, but that's not what God says. God says that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. And then it tells us how and why all things work together for good. In verse 29, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. In other words, the things that God allows into our lives have one main purpose, and that is that we would be conformed to the person of Jesus Christ. And so, can I just be really frank and super honest with you regarding why it is that we get frustrated, why it is that we doubt, why it is that we sometimes hate this verse? And the harsh reality is it's because we really don't want to be conformed to the image of Christ. We want Christ to be conformed to what we need him to be or what we want him to be. We don't want to be called according to his purpose. There are times in our lives where we want God to be called according to our purpose. And the battle that is raging is a common battle that happens in the lives of all Christians. And that is the battle between our flesh and the spirit, the selfishness and surrender. And are we going to live surrendered to God, or are we going to live selfish? And this battle that rages in our hearts sometimes comes up through the circumstances and situations that we face. And sometimes we face very, very difficult, hard situations, and we don't understand them. And it's easy for us to say, this is not right. This is not good. However, that's not what God says. God says that if we will love him with all of our heart, and we will submit ourselves to doing his purpose and desire to be conformed to his image, then we will realize that God cannot ever make a mistake. One of the great encouraging verses of all the Bible is Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. And God says there is no reason to fear. There is no reason to be frustrated. There is no reason for this, because you are in my right hand that can only ever do the right thing. And so we have a wonderful place that we reside, and the will of God carefully protected by the very person of God. And we are enabled by the Spirit of God so that we can do the will of God. And you know what? We exist for his pleasure. He saved our soul from the torments of hell. And he saved us to not only life and abundant life here, but eternal life with him in heaven. And it's all because of him. And because of that, we get the privilege of living this life in a way that pleases him, that will honor him and bring glory to him. And so no matter the situation, no matter the circumstance, let's love God with all of our heart. Let's yield ourselves to his purposes. And may we be willing to be conformed to his image so that no matter what we face today or any day, that we will say all things work together for good. May God bless you. I look forward to seeing